Hello, 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 and welcome to the May Contain Spoilers review for Planetary Annihilation Titans. Once again, my name is Jason, and I'll be conducting this review today. Now, before we get started, I'd like to go into a little bit of history about Planetary Annihilation Titans and the games it kind of has spun off from. Basically, Planetary Annihilation is a spiritual successor to Total Annihilation, a real-time strategy game released in 1997, produced and published by Cavedog Entertainment. The lead designer of Total Annihilation, Chris Taylor, went on to make Supreme Commander, along with Gas-Powered Games. Supreme Commander was the first spiritual successor for Total Annihilation, and it did a really good job at doing so initially, and then it basically doubled those efforts when it came to its expandalone, Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, which is held by many, myself included, to be the peak of the Total Annihilation spiritual successor kind of progression. Planetary Annihilation was created by Uber Entertainment, whose staff consisted of members of the team who worked on the original Total Annihilation and some who worked on Supreme Commander as well. This doesn't include Chris Taylor. He stayed with Gas-Powered Games when it was acquired by Wargaming.net and is still there at the moment. The game itself was funded on Kickstarter, and I must disclose now that I did back the game initially on Kickstarter. I was quite impressed with what was being pitched there and what was happening with the whole Total Annihilation mythos, so to speak. And so I chipped in, I think £25 I backed it for. And as we'll go into and discuss, you'll see I had mixed feelings on the final product. Planetary Annihilation officially launched on September the 5th, 2014. It received middling reviews. It got a lot of criticism for poor UI and poor tutorials in it. It didn't really explain a lot of the features and just kind of chucked you in at the deep end. On top of this, there were quite a few. I'd technically say these are game breaking, but that's because I play on a 4K monitor. I basically couldn't run the game at any resolution when I was using the 4K monitor. I had to unplug it and plug in another monitor to make it work. It was, however, fixed quite quickly. I think about a week after launch I could then play it again, so it wasn't too bad. But again, it was a game that was launched in an unfinished condition. Thankfully, although unknown to many at the time, Uber had kind of continued working on the Planetary Annihilation engine with an attempt to rectify a lot of their problems. And that brings us lastly to Planetary Annihilation Titans. PA Titans was released on the 18th of August 2015, so earlier this month. If you backed the game on Kickstarter, you received a free copy. This was a way of saying thank you for backing the game. Uber kind of admitted that the initial launch of Planetary Annihilation wasn't as good as it could have been, so anyone who backed it through Kickstarter got a copy of Titans included in that as a way of saying thank you for supporting them. If you didn't happen to kickstart it, but you did purchase the game on Steam before Titans was announced and released, you get a 66% discount on the game, so you can pick it up for about £10.20, or your regional equivalent there. If you didn't do either of those options and you're looking at this as a brand new purchase, you're going to be looking at $29.99 GBP, or again your regional equivalent. So, with all the background information out of the way, let's get this review started. What we're going to do is break it into two chunks. First of all, I'm going to do a single-player match in the what's called the Galactic War mode, and then from there I'm going to play a full-on skirmish against the AI to show off the sort of the mechanics and the multiplayer a bit better. I'm only going to do one match in the Galactic campaign because once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all, and you'll see what I mean as we go through it. One thing I will mention actually as well is in terms of the settings on this game, there's not a lot in ideas of resolution. Basically your display mode is windowed or full screen. I'm playing it in windowed at the moment because I've got a 4K monitor, so playing it full screen is just an absolute nightmare to record in and upload to YouTube, so we're not doing that. Plus no one can really watch a 4K video without a 4K monitor, so that's the point. As you can see, all the other settings seem quite sort of standard. There's nothing stupidly in depth here. There is the option for resolution scaling, and again I'm running on a 980 Ti, so I can put super sampling all the way up. One thing I did notice is the minimum specs are quite low for a card. I was originally playing this on a 660 Ti, and I was having issues at the 1080p resolution. It used to get a bit clunky, or textures wouldn't load in as quickly. It was playable, but it wasn't as enjoyable. I didn't really get a smooth 60 frames per second all the time through it. Audio, various slider options, camera, you can adjust your camera speed, friction, that kind of stuff. All the things you'd expect from an RTS. And gameplay is just gameplay specific settings. You can customize how the icons appear, and you'll see how they will appear in game. Server is, obviously I'm in the EU, so EU West, and keyboard you can map your key bindings and things like that if you wish to. So if we jump into the single player, I'm going to start a new galactic war. So you can choose your commander. Again, I was a backer on Kickstarter, so the options I get are slightly more extended than the ones you might get in the base game. I'm not entirely sure what those have been brought down to actually now. A lot of these have been added over the time, so it could be that they're available for everybody. Now, the other thing is you can choose a commander loadout, so these can be unlocked as you go along. So I've got a vehicle commander, just contains basic vehicle factories, or the assault commander, so he's got all basic offensive capabilities, but no defenses. I'm going to pick that one, mainly because of the fact you'll see why when we start is that there's really no sitting around and waiting in this mode. The whole build-up, the AI just doesn't seem that smart. I'm playing it on normal difficulty. Again, there's nothing lower than that, and normal is pretty easy to sort of stamp into the ground. This isn't really the mode that I tend to play a lot of this game. I will say that now. I tend to play multiplayer more, and you'll see why as we go into that. There is a much more in-depth tutorial. I'm not going to sit through it again here, but it does cover a lot more of the features of the game, and it's worth doing. If you'd played Planetary Annihilation originally, and you've got this, I recommend watching the tutorial. It adds in a whole load of new sort of items and that you probably weren't aware of or in the first game.
Greetings, Commander. Much has been lost since the reawakening. Others have come online, like you, Commander. They seek answers among the stars. Find the others, rip apart their planets, stop the spread of other factions, and annihilate them.
So that's all the story you get to the game, is basically we're going to find people and crush them. So to start with, we're here, this is our home city, or home galaxy I should say, and we can jump to any of these other galaxies on the map here and steal their loot basically. So I'm going to go to this one here, because there's nothing there at the moment. I can explore it, and you discover tech. So basically tech is, you discover tech in this so you can use it in game. I can get metal storage, compression, stuff like that. What I'm actually going to take is the orbital tech complete loadout, because that's going to be ridiculously overpowered, as you will see. I'm then going to jump to this planet, because again it's not populated. I can tell it's not populated by these little rings here. You see this one here has got a purple ring around it, and these have got red and orange. These are populated planets, so when we go there we're going to have to fight someone. So we'll explore the system again, and let's take the sub-commander, and then let's go and engage the reds. So it does give you some flavor text here about who you're fighting in that. And again, it's more flavor text. You don't have to read it or do anything with it if you don't want to. I'm now going to jump in and engage this commander. So basically the idea of this mode is to just destroy the commander completely. It's the same as the multiplayer. If you take the commander out, everyone else loses. The commander is the linchpin. Now, a lot of these maps in this mode are single planet ones. I've had a couple that have got multi-planets, but most of them appear to be single planet, which is probably my first complaint about the game, is maps that take place on a single planet they feel like you're constantly compacted against each other. The planets aren't particularly big, and you kind of feel like you're always at each other's doorstep, so it's kind of like throw little units, throw larger units, and it's much more fast paced, I'll say that much, and it's not got that whole slow build up that I've come to expect from things like Supreme Commander and Total Annihilation. Again, that's quite possibly personal preference there with me. So here's our home planet, or the starting planet, and I can choose any of those two spawn locations. How big is that ocean? Not very. Right, not going to bother with ships in this case then. I'm going to go here and start Annihilation. So there's my commander, he is now in play. So your commander's your key unit in this game. He can build all your structures. To start with, what I am going to build is a basic air factory. In fact, I'm going to build 2 of them. So the cool thing about this is, much like the other games if you played them, is you can hold shift to queue up orders. So I'm currently holding down shift and I've queued up those 2 orders there. I can then click on the mineral extractor. Now if I wanted to, I could click 1 to place it, but you can also click and drag, and it will put a mineral extractor on every mineral node that you've got there. So I can let go and it'll place that. Again, that was in Planetary Annihilation. It's not from Supreme Commander or Total Annihilation though, so if you sort of were relying on those 2 games, you've probably not seen that method of doing it before, so I found that quite handy actually when I first started playing this. And I'm going to put some power plants in as well. So it's your standard resource gathering. You need your metal, you need your energy. Now my first aircraft factory is ready, so I'm going to build In fact, you know what, I'm going to build a couple of aircraft. So you've got various types. I've got my fabrication aircraft is basically a small building aircraft. The Hummingbird's an attack fighter. The Firefly's a scout. As you can see, it does give you a rundown above them what they can do. The Bumblebee's a bomber. Pelican's air transport, and the Icarus is a solar-powered drone. It produces energy and can like attack stuff, but it's quite slow. So if I just build some I'll build them from the other ones. So the way your energy and metal work in these games is it's a resource system, but not in the way you're used to. So you have an efficiency. So when the commander's building, he's drawing metal out of the pool. When he's not building, that metal regenerates. But if you have no metal and no energy, you can still build, just really slowly, because you're building as you generate, almost in real time. So if you've got no reserves of metal or energy, you sometimes find yourself a bit stuck for resources, because like, well, what do I do now? I'm waiting on it, and just stuff takes forever to build. So it's always easier to just make sure you've got stockpiles of the things you need. So I've got my construction aircraft, as you can see. He's up and about, and I've just told him to build me a radar so I can see what's going on. Now, there's a second camera you can have up, and again, I've got this playing in windowed mode, so it's not the best picture, but you can capture. So for example, I can keep an overview of this planet here. I can zoom it out, so as you can see, I can now see the other captain's faction there. So if I deselect it, you can see the screen a bit better. So that radar's picked up, and this is what I was saying about planets being really small. That radar's a base level radar, and I can already see all of them, even though they're out of the range of the radar, actually, apparently. That's interesting. Could possibly be a bug then. So I'm going to assign these. So you can tell your construction aircraft to assist other aircraft. You can assign numbers, much like any other RTS. So I've just made him 1 by hitting Control and 1, and then pressing 1 on its own will select him just for me to use. If he starts building, because these others are set to assist him, they'll start building whatever he's building. So it's quite good if you need to rapidly produce stuff, like this orbital launcher, for example. And I've also got these other aircraft. I'm going to just move these out of the way and get these guys patrolling, just in case anything decides to come pay us a visit. So as you can see, I can zoom in and out with relative ease. There's no loading times or anything like that. The game is designed to just be as fluid as possible. And as you can see, this planet's got a rather funny orbit around the sun, if you can see the faint outline there. Sometimes you get things like that. Sometimes you get planets with asteroid belts. In fact, have I got an asteroid belt here? No, no asteroid belt. If you've got an asteroid belt, you can see that you occasionally get asteroids come drifting in from that, and again, you can utilise them by possibly slamming them into your opponent. And we'll go into that in a bit more detail in the multiplayer when I've got all that tech unlocked. So I've just hit N to align to North Poles just so I can see what's going on properly. So at the moment, I've got a commander building some power stations because my power's fluctuating quite a bit, and I've got my other aircraft on patrol, and my building aircraft are making this little orbital launcher. So far, pretty straightforward to play. My target is to remove this guy from play. He is the enemy's commander. And again, if I scroll over there, I don't think you're going to be able to see him. Oh no, I can see. Okay. It might be there's no fog of war in this map, then I didn't really... Again, I should have possibly read the introduction, which would have told me what was going on this map. This is the guy I have to kill. Kill him, everything else dies. So what we're going to do is go back, and I've got an orbital launcher now. So as you noticed earlier, I picked up that all orbital tech for this mode. Basically means I can build everything. So I'm just going to build an orbital fabrication bot. And then what I really want to do is just get a load of drones out to harass the enemy commander. So I'm going to build a bot factory. In fact, I'm going to build quite a few bot factories. Where's some open space? This is my other problem with this game, is that there's open space is hard to come by. Every planet has these little craters and crevices and nooks and crannies on them. I believe they're all randomly generated as well. But it's just... I miss having a lot of flat space. Anyone who's played Supreme Commander or Total Annihilation, yes, there are hills and that, but there's a lot of flat space as well. And it's kind of like... I always feel like I'm having to cram my base in at really odd angles to make it function. It's mildly annoying. So we've got some power stations. I might build some more power stations actually, just to make sure don't run out anytime soon. So again, I can click and drag to build as many or as little as I want. The build system, I must admit, the build queuing in this game is quite possibly the most flexible in any RTS. So I've now got 2 bot factories, and I can double click on them and it'll select all active ones. Obviously, this one's still being built. Now I can click on one of these and it will just build one. If I hold shift and click, it'll build 5, but it'll build 5 from every platform. So for example, if I want to build a load of docks units, there you go, so that's 30, so they're all going to start producing those. I'm going to tell them to go here when they come out. That one on the end, I'm just going to use it to build some grenadiers. So my disappointment with this mode of the game is there's not a lot of depth. You can progress through it and you can do larger campaigns and that, and I've done a campaign that lasted a good couple of days, but you get to the end of it and you just use the same strategy. You build as many robots as possible, you go and punch the enemy commander in the face, and I'm not even going to bother upgrading to tier 2 tech. I've got that space station up above, but I really don't have to use that if I don't want to. And as I'll show you in a second, there are some really cheap ways of winning. It's just, yeah, send the exploding robots in and laugh. So if we build a couple of carpet bombers as well, there you go. I do like the graphics in this game, I must admit. As I said, it's for randomly generated, they look really pretty, and they've got this kind of specific, it's not quite a cartoony effect. As you can see from sort of the textures here and the textures on the robots, I get a robot actually seeing to have a proper look. It's, I'd say cell shaded, but even that doesn't seem to be giving it a fair sort of call. It's just quite colourful, primary colours almost, and I do like that about the game. And I like the sort of the designs of the various structures. They all look quite futuristic. The way the structures are built as well, with this like nano lathe that slowly constructs it in as you look at it. Again, stuff like that is really cool, and it's a hangover from the older Total Annihilation days, but just more colours kind of thing. So this guy, I'm going to have him build an orbital factory as well, just in case. I like being prepared. I have no doubt that I should be able to just crush the enemy command. I say that I'm going to look really stupid if I fail. Oh, we've got incoming hovercrafts by the looks of it. So, let's see if they want to meet my new friends. So the big thing about... Oh, hang on, he's my ally. Why is he my... Who am I fighting against? Oh, I see. So I didn't realise this now because this is the first time I've picked up a secondary commander. The other commander who is on my side is actually AI. So here's me thinking I'll blow him up and wondering why I can see him. It's because he's actually on my side. So that nearly went horribly wrong. So what we need to do is find the other enemy commander. On the flip side though, you've probably realised exactly how easy this makes this game now, because I've just gotten a complete overview of the plan. I've got 2 commanders building full armies of stuff. There you go, there's the enemy commander. I'm going to just attack him. So these bombers are going to come in, drop their bombs. He took a fair bit of damage then. All my bombers have gone, unfortunately, but it's easy enough to just send more. We send something on the land now as well. So I feel pretty stupid for wondering why I could see that commander. Now I know. I was kind of expecting it to just give me another unit who was like my commander. So basically my commander can build stuff fastest, and there is a higher tech unit called I think it's a proxy or a corporal commander that you can build, who is the commander in terms of building speed, but has access to all the higher tech stuff. I was wrong. I stand corrected. Instead I have an actual ally who's just quite happily wandering around and blowing the crap out of the other guy. That works for me. So my orbital tech platform is ready, and again, as I said before, because I've grabbed that orbital tech upgrade in the first move, I've got access to the Omega battleship. So that requires a lot of metal. It gives me a breakdown of how much metal it requires there, so that's 14,000 metal. If I could build him if I wanted to. As you can see, it's just pushed me to -1 metal there as I turn that on. But I'm going to build him, and then on top of that I'm just going to get all of these guys to just ruin this commander's day. And I suspect that he's going to die quite quickly. So yeah, as you can see, his health's going down already. He might stand up, actually. He's managed to one-shot a lot of the little robots following him around. I've no idea why the grenadiers are following him that closely. Can't just shoot him from a distance. Yeah, some of the AI is still not perfect. I mean, they could have stood back and just fired on him, but they seem to want to hug him for some reason. But I've got some more bombers now as well. So double click on those. Over here, please. So this game really, it's not about micromanaging, it's more about macromanaging. It's just building as many things as possible and then throwing them at your enemy. The more, as you can see, he's shooting them down quite quickly, but I'm going to be churning out more. And in fact, I've got all of these, so do you know what, let's churn out a whole load of... What have we got? boom bots. These are tiny little vicious things. They self-destruct on impact, and this is where I was saying about being quite cheap, and this is where I think sometimes the balance is a bit off. If he's got sparks, they will defend it, and again, if you're playing against players tend to know about this tactic. They'll have sparks ready, they'll have light laser towers available, or heavy laser towers if they've teched up quick enough. And they will ruin your day very quickly if you use bomb bots, because while you're churning out tons of bomb bots, they're sat there going, yeah, let's tech up and throw something heavy. So got a few more aircraft available. I'm not going to send them out. How many more am I building? 9. So I'm just going to build a couple of Firefly Scouts as well. So as you can see, when I clicked on it, although I only clicked once, it said it was going to build 2 Fireflies, 1 in each station. So you can, mass producing stuff is easy in this game. As long as you've got all the stations selected, just hit the build key and it'll build it 1 from each of them. And as I said, you can hold shift to do multiple ones. There you go. Our ally has just destroyed the enemy's air factory. And again, that's quite cool. These little pop-ups you can get, very similar to the little mini-map that I've got down here. I'm just going to drag that around a bit. So, loads of explodey boat robots. So what I'm going to do is group these all together. You're 2. You guys are 1. And I'm just going to use these to discover their commander. There we go. So I've got 1 and 2 en route to their commander now. He's not going to last very long. He might survive the bombing run. He's not going to survive a whole swarm of bomb bots. Wherever they are. There they are. Tiny little vicious explodey bomb bots. Absolutely perfect for ruining someone's day. So as you'll see in a second, they'll just swarm him and blow him up. He's dead. That's it. Gone. So that's the end of him. So now will take me back to the galactic overview. So continue war. I can also quit to the main menu, which will save my progress and let me resume later. And I can explore his blown up planet now, or his available planet, to see if there's any cool stuff there. So I can get some buffs for my commander. Now some of these, so these vehicle tech ones, just grant you access to the full tree. Some of these are specific to the campaign mode, so the improved build arm improves your build speed by 50% and reduces energy usage by 50%. That's not available in multiplayer, but it's cool because you can get stuff like that, and it can change your tactics slightly. Although again, the only way I found it really changing my tactics is I'd build more factories from the off. Just go out and just build, instead of building 2 factories, I'd build 4 and start churning stuff out while the commander then started building all the other bits and pieces. I can also grab an additional data bank, which will fill in down here and give me extra space for storing more of these blueprints. I'm going to take the vehicle tech. So that's the Galactic War. As I said, it's an interesting way of passing the time. It's not the main meat of this game though, and that is really the multiplayer. I'm not going to do an online game because you'll just watch me get stomped. I'm not very good at it. I just like playing it. So I'm going to do an AI skirmish, and I'm going to pick something decent in terms of planets as well. So this takes a little bit of time while it builds the planets as it goes through everything, so I'll just give it a second to catch up with me. So the planet it's issuing here is Bedlam, 2 to 8 players, so it's probably going to be a fairly large planet, but I want multiple planets. I want to show you what it's like when we slam 2 planets into each other. So, what do we got, what do we got, what do we got? Collision system... Pax Primer. So when you're looking at planets, these planets here with the numbers on them are planets that can be moved using thrusters. If they've not got a number on it, then you can't do anything with it. However, metal planets, or some metal planets I should say, not all of them, can be converted using an item called a catalyst into a giant laser. Yes, you did hear that correctly. You can turn them into a giant laser. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick Styx because it's one of my favourite systems. So Hades is a starting planet that's available, as is Cerberus. And there's 2 asteroids as well. Can't start on those. So these green icons mean that they're starting planets. That's all that means. And again, the asteroids just need 1 thruster required to move them, as does Cerberus. So again, we'll go into the thrusters now as we start the game. So I'm going to load the game. I'm not going to bother throwing too many AIs in. I'm just going to stick with me and the computer. Otherwise, this game will drag on a bit. So in terms of general improvement from Planetary Annihilation, There's been quite a few bits and pieces. The UI, for one, is massively improved. It actually plays at 4K properly, which again it didn't used to. It took a couple of patches after release before that started working properly. The speed in general of it building planets, stability when you log into planets, all of that's vastly improved. And again, a lot of these upgrades have been retroactively applied to, I say retroactively, they've been applied to Planetary Annihilation. Planetary Annihilation is a lot more stable than it was when it was first built, but it's just I've never been drawn back into it. Since it got released, I think I played it a total of 5 times, haven't touched it since then. Titans, on the other hand, I've been playing quite frequently. It's one of those games where I was like, oh, I'm bored, I want to just go blow something up. Ooh, Planetary Annihilation, Titans. In I go. So he's in, I'm in. I'm going to start the game. Oh, we picked the same commander. I should have changed. Now, one thing I will aim to show you here as well is the new Titans that have come in. So Titans weren't included in the original Planetary Annihilation, which was disappointing. I'm going to start on Hades. Actually, I'm going to start on Cerberus. And there's a reason for that, because it means the AI should start with me. So I can then go and steal Hades and turn it to a giant laser and laugh. So start Annihilation. There we go. So yeah, in Total Annihilation you had not so much Titan units, but super units that could be built at the highest tech tiers that could do a lot of damage. Big Bertha was a massive stationary artillery cannon that could wreck things. Things like that. And then in Supreme Commander you had the super units added at the end of it, so once you got to a specific tech tier you could start adding a lot more features and a lot more sort of functionality to your items, to your army, sorry. And then there was, oh, that's quite a large circle actually. And then in Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, I nearly forgot the name for a second then. Forged Alliance was a standalone, expandalone I guess you could call it, to Supreme Commander, that basically, from a lot of people's opinion, is the pinnacle of the Supreme Commander series. It captures a lot of the feelings of Total Annihilation and branches out in its own way. That was released by Gas-Powered Games, again much like Supreme Commander, it was released by Gas-Powered Games, and it handles a lot of the super units were thrown in. So end game you could build a whole load of these different super units. They were in Supreme Commander, and then Forged Alliance just went and added a few more in there just for good measure, like giant spiders with lasers, things like that. And they were designed to be game changers. If you were bringing a Titan into the field, it took forever to build and it required a lot of resources, but you could guarantee you were going to ruin someone's day when that thing was constructed. And the Titans in here work in a very similar system, is that once they're built, they are going to ruin someone's day. Build 5 of them. Only problem is, as I said, is they have a large resource requirement. Now, I don't know if there's many other people on this planet. If we zoom out, we can see. So, this is our metal planet. And if we look at, not that end, the other end of it, it's got these little blue mounting points. So I can quite easily turn it into an annihilator, as it's called, by mounting the catalyst on each of these points. Catalysts are really expensive and take forever to build though. So it's one of those things where if you can hold off your enemy long enough and build that, you're going to win the game, because you can basically swing that around and in seconds annihilate a planet, turn it around, blow up the next planet. Getting control of a planet on that scale though is kind of hard, and against players I've yet to see anyone take an annihilator. I've been smacked with asteroids more times than I care to count, but taking an annihilator, that requires a lot of dedication and probably a lot of defensive building as well. Okay, so I've now got some units, so I'm going to assign these guys to help this guy. You're 1. So the first thing I want to do is build my orbital launcher. There's one thing I do like again in this game, is it's not afraid to be silly. The orbital launcher, the unit cannon, and again I'll come into more of those as we progress. Ooh, enemy spotted. They're on the same planet as us. My plan worked. This game's not afraid to be silly by any means of it. There is, for example, this thing here called a lob, fires robots at robots. It's basically a gun that shoots guns but with robots. It shoots robots at people, and I'll build one of those if I get the chance in a bit. So some of these are silly. Not so much on this tech level actually, but once you start getting higher up, the orbital stuff, as I said, that big dreadship style battlecruiser you can build, that's quite painful. It's not so much silly, but it's painful. The giant Titan, there's one Titan that's just so huge. I think it's called an Atlas, and it just stomps on things. It's just huge and earthquake causing. That's it. That's its ability. It's big. It's a super massive unit, and its pure ability is just to ruin everyone's day by jumping up and down. Right, so let's get into the asteroid belt. So again, I'm not restricted by tech in this mode. I don't have to earn my tech first by doing some like galaxy exploring. Everything's available. So I'm going to build an orbital fabrication bot so I can start building stuff in orbit. I'm going to build a Hermes as well so I can find out where the other enemy is, and I'm also going to build an Astraeus, which is it's like a lifter, but it lets you lift interplanetarily, which is always good. So let's get some laser defenses up as well, because I'm actually now building around the edge of this base. And again, as you notice, I've not got a lot of space. I've got this little starting area I've started in, and there's not a lot of space to build stuff. Yeah. Come on. There you go. And again, it's things like this that slightly annoy me, because it's like, well, I could do with either a bigger starting area or just not having it fenced in. Total Annihilation, one of the games one of the areas that springs to mind is Ashap Plateau, which is a large square area that you could rest in, and you had plenty of space for building up in there. Whereas here, I'm kind of struggling to fit everything. I've got 2 robot factories now. I'm going to have to expand. So, I guess from a perspective of someone who likes Total Annihilation and was expecting more of the same, it's not so much. From someone who is approaching this game as a brand new player, it doesn't let you play defensively for too long. You've got to speed up and start moving out. You can't really turtle without expanding, and the moment you start expanding, obviously the terrain starts playing against you. So there's my probe. So I'm going to see if I can find the enemy. He came from that direction, didn't he? In fact, what I'm also going to do is pop up my second camera and give me the main view. There we go. So it's worth bearing in mind, there are kind of, per each planet, there we go, we found him. Per each planet there are 3 layers. There's the ground layer, the aircraft layer, and then the orbital layer. Now, most vehicles can't shoot orbital. They require specific, there's a couple of missile launchers that can, and there's something called an umbrella that can as well. But by default, things that are orbital are pretty safe up there. It's both a good and a bad thing, because it requires you to think more laterally and go, well, what do I build to try and prevent this? What can I build to sort of assist with this? I haven't built any umbrellas yet. I probably should do, if I could find my commander, wherever he's wandered off to. Oh no, commander can't build umbrellas. I want my construction drone. So this is an umbrella, so I can basically just go point, point. The red circle's the range, and the orange circle's the range. The red circle's the scanning detection. So you can kind of sit around the edge of it and not get hit. But again, you always build them with overlapping fields of fire just in case. So I'm going to bring the commander down here, and I'm just going to build a few more power plants because power's an issue for me at the moment. And then I'm going to build a couple of, just going to build one actually, and put some lasers around it. Again, the commander is your sort of link to your army. If you lose your commander, you lose the game. But at the same time, he's not particularly strong, so you'll find in later levels you just you maybe use him to help defend a base or keep stuff repaired, but you'll tend to end up using other vehicles to do what you need to do. So what I'm also going to do though is I'm going to take one of these construction units. I'm going to use the lifter, and I'm going to take you. I'm also going to find, where are you? So one of the other cool things you can build from orbital is you can build an anchor, which is an area defense satellite. So that red area underneath it will open fire on anything down there. So if I wanted to annoy this commander, oh, he's got an umbrella. That icon there is the umbrella one. That's what I recognised. That's how I knew it was building. So I could be cheeky and just build this above him before he gets that umbrella built. So this guy has picked up that unit there. So he's now got a construction unit on him, and I'm going to go and move him to another planet. So, do I want the Annihilator or do I want a meteorite? I'm trying to decide which one would be more fun. Oh, the meteorite's not, the asteroid's not arrived yet because the asteroid belt's not spawned one, so this is the place we're going to go. So simply, you click on where you want to go, and the system plots a route. So as you can see now, it's gone, right, I've got to travel orbital, so it's travelling between the 2 points. Ah, there you go, new asteroid detected. So if I wanted to, I could go there and start trying to build up my army from the asteroid instead, and then ram the asteroid into a planet. That would probably be quicker than trying to build an annihilator, I must admit. I'm just umming and ahhing now. suppose I could do that. It would be kind of fun to just slam an asteroid into it. Let's see how we go. I'm conscious of the time. I don't want to spend too long on this because otherwise it just becomes a really long, really long gameplay. Right, so I'm going to unload you. So there he is.
Enemy commander detected.
Oh, this might be a quick victory. I've already found the commander. And he's at half health because he's not moved. Again, this is the thing about the AI. Sometimes it's just a bit stupid. I'll tell you what, for the sake of demonstrating this, I'm going to just stop this thing. Hold fire. Right, tell you what, let's give you a proper demonstration of what these things can do. So, build me another one of those, build me another one of those.
Commander taking fire.
Oh, that's the commander alarm, get him out of the way. Yeah, I think their commander's trapped himself slightly because he just sort of sat there. And again, unfortunately, this is something that happens far too often in this game, and it's slightly annoying because it's like, well, against players, yeah, fair enough, I can kind of understand it, they're not going to be that stupid, but I'd like the AI to present a challenge to me and not just kind of go, oh, I trapped myself. What am I doing now? I don't know. It's a bit worrying, really. Okay, so I'm going to build a launcher and move my... actually, I'm going to build a gateway. So the gateway, these are quite good, these are basically stargates. You can link two planets together with a stargate. Where is he? There. So they require a fair whack of power, but it's nothing you're not going to get too strung up about. I'm just going to build a row of them here. Build, please. Once those are complete, so I'm just going to rearrange the mini-map so it's over where it needs to be. That's my umbrella. There's my Stargate. So my Stargate down there is already ready. Mainly because he's got like 4 of them building it. And my commander's around there somewhere as well. Where is he? There he is. Now I have had some good games where I've had multiple AI against me. One of them's become quite a threat because while I've been taking out the others or they've gotten themselves stuck, there's normally always one who's not doing too badly. And I got to a point where he actually started building rocket thrusters on an asteroid, which got me slightly nervous because it only required 2 and he got 1.5 before I decided to go and ruin his party. And that's where the Titans came in as well, actually. So what we'll do, I'm just going to swap around, swap cameras, and I'm going to see if we've got enough resources to build a Titan. It would help if I selected the right unit. Where's he gone? Show me idle. Oh, is he underneath the... he is, there he is. So this guy, the space one, can build 4 of the 5 Titans. He's got the Helios, which is it's a big. I'll tell you what, I'll show you. It looks like that, and it lets you teleport units through it and beam them straight down to the surface. So if you can put one of those in orbit above someone's planet, open a gateway to it, you're laughing because all your units just get bombarded down to their surface, and it really ruins their day. You've got the Ares, which is a land-based rolling tank. It's got guns all over the place. As it says there, it's a fortress. The Atlas, which is the one I was mentioning earlier, it's huge, as you can see there, compared to everything else. It's quite big. That jumps up and down and does slams. There's the Fortress, and the Zeus, which is a lightning aircraft. So all the Titans are good. If you can build one, you basically you've got control of that planet quite easily. I've yet to find a way of moving Titans between planets because they're too big for gateways. So I'm not entirely sure how you're meant to go about that. Whether you can or whether that's the idea of them is it's just for that planet. There's also one more Titan which I can't show you yet because I haven't got the tech, but it's called Ragnarok. And basically you build it on a planet and it's a giant drill. There we go, teleporters are up. And what it will do is it will drill to the centre of that planet. And once it reaches the centre of that planet goes pop. It takes about a minute though, and it just sits there burrowing into the planet. So it's good if you want to play around with something like that. That's another good one to have. So now we're here. Let's reassign these guys. So what I can do is I actually just want to get a load of metal extractors up on this planet, so I'm just going to do this. And yes, that does work. The game is now going to path out those little AIs and let them figure out where they need to go. This guy, I'm going to get him to build me a Tech 2 factory though, so I can start getting Tech 2 units available. And I'm going to get the commander to help him out. I'm going to stop this as well, I don't need that running. So now I've got one base over here. Now I'm currently the only person here as far as I can tell. Judging by how slow the other AI is at building stuff and getting stuck in the areas, I'm not too worried about him at the moment. But I am going to start having problems if he decides to attack my base, so I'm just going to chuck out a couple more construction robots. Yeah, these are all based over there. I believe there's a way of marking cameras actually. I need to rewatch the tutorial because I can mark cameras to jump between them. I've just kind of gotten used to scrolling in and out though. It's pretty smooth. Yeah, so he's got himself stuck. Look at it. Which is, I'll tell you what, let's see if I can free him up without killing him. Just so that it provides a bit more of a challenge. Alright, stop firing on the commander because we want to smash asteroids. So there you go. He should... No, he's still stuck to a metal structure, but we'll find out if he sorts himself out in a minute. Also, he has got orbital as well, actually. So these items here are Avengers. They're orbital aircraft. And they can ruin my day if I'm not careful. So what I'm going to do is just put a few of mine up. I'm going to build... I think I've got some space defences as well. Or not. Build a spaceport. Now these things, jigs, are quite cool. If you're in a system with gas planets, and you can actually build your own systems as well, so if you want to have something specific in there, you can build your own systems for it. You can put a jig on a gas planet, and it will basically just extract minerals for you, which is quite cool. It's basically a boost to your gas and energy production. Cool, so I'm now getting some of these guys coming up here. I'm just going to stick him in a patrol route. So again, the shift command works with everything as well, so you see I can just hold shift. I've clicked patrol, held shift, and now it's going to send them around that route for me. I'm just going to send it to assign them, just in case they decide to attack. I don't think they are. They'll probably try and steal the metal planet off me. But it's my... Ooh! Ooh, no you don't. They are already trying to steal my metal planet. That's my metal planet. Come on, shake a leg, Commander. Give him a hand. Come on, there we go. So yeah, this is what I was on about the nano-lathe effect as well, as it slowly constructs it. It basically goes from like a virtual construct into a physical machine. And it's quite a neat effect, I must admit. It's very, very similar to the one that was in the original Total Annihilation, just with a little bit more spit and polish to it and a lot more shine. Which again, I like that. I like the whole keeping things intact. Supreme Commander did it very well as well. Although I must admit, it didn't feel quite as accurate to the source, I guess I'd say. But okay, it did the job.
Suitable asteroid found.
Woohoo! New asteroids in the system. That's 2 asteroids. So I'm going to build one of these. So that's a Tech 3 construction robot. I'm also going to see if I can build a bot factory to get a Tech 3 commander. This was the proxy commander I mentioned earlier. As for you, I want you to run around and build umbrellas on the surface of this thing. Can't have people trying to land on my planet. It's mine. I must admit, holding a planet without a Titan is kind of hard, because it's like stuff could land on it wherever and then you just don't know about it. I could build a radar, I suppose. I'll build a Tech 2 radar which will reveal where stuff is as well. Come on. Again, I kind of wish there was an easy way of doing this. Ooh! Oh, there is! Even better! I didn't even know that existed. That's genius. I know it works for metal ones, but obviously if you try and do it with factories and that, it just clones the same factory over and over again. But by the looks of it, with the umbrellas, it just makes a note of where they are and their overlapping fields and just builds them accordingly. So I've now learned something new. Hooray! So he'll run around and do that. Yeah, Tech 2 vehicle. So here we go. So I could build a Titan here if I wanted to. That's the Ragnarok I mentioned that you can build that can basically act as a Doomsday platform. But let's have a look at some of the craziest stuff, shall we? So the unit cannon, because why not? Oh, something's under attack. Actually, before I build a unit cannon, I've just noticed I'm not doing too well on power, so I'll build a couple of power generators. And I'll have to get the commander helping him. Build another Tech 2 vehicle. I'm going to send him his build command again, just because of the fact I've got... Now I know I can do that, I'm going to zoom out. Cover it! Cover it with nodes! That's really going to ruin anyone's day trying to land on this planet. Again, that's the cool thing, is because you can queue up orders, I could leave him running, and I could go and do something else. Again, I could be, when I say do something else, I mean like other planets, go and conquer and expand and stuff there. And this was about the macro rather than the micro. Although I guess thinking about it, I could also go and eat something and let him build stuff, but again, you'd probably get annihilated by someone else firing a planet at you. Yeah, this game does do macro a lot better than it does any kind of micro. And I kind of like that because it gives the whole feeling of full-scale war, much like, again, Supreme Commander does. So how are we doing? So we're now generating 8k. I'll build another one of these. I'm going to stick... Actually, so where's the commander? Commander's going to help you. You're going to build me one of these. And... where are the catalysts? There they are. So the catalyst. So let's place these here. We'll see how long it takes to build these. You. And let's build a bot as well. So yeah, really, graphically with this game, there's nothing wrong with it. You get a bit of texture pop sometimes, and I must admit, I'm running this, as I said, I'm super sampling this down. The standard rate does look a little bit rough around the edges, and if you go less than that, so obviously if you've got a slower graphics card and you just want to be able to play it, it does look quite sort of jagged around the edges because you're turning off a lot of the whole smoothing features and things like that. That said though, it's no bad thing, it does still run smoothly at the relevant level, so it's not like it completely ruins the experience. In terms of gameplay, as I've said, against other players, I find it quite enjoyable. That's what I hop on and play this game for, is to play against other players. Is it worth the £30 though? I'm not sure on that at the moment. If I'd brought PA and been disappointed with it, so say I'd spent £30 on Steam and brought PA, I think I spent £25 to kickstart it, I can't remember now. But I basically got it free because I did that. If I'd brought PA at the release price, or even if I picked it up for £2 on one, I think it got down to £2 in one of the Steam sales, again, I'd be quite happy to go, yeah, you know what, I'll spend a tenner on it. But again, I guess it comes down to that point, is I probably wouldn't have risked it without knowing what it was like. It's like, it looks good, not sure on it. Getting it free was brilliant because I didn't have to make that decision, and I've played it and I'm quite happy. This is what I wanted not Supreme Commander, this is what I wanted Planetary Annihilation to be when it was first released a year ago. So it's taken an extra year to get there, but I feel now that Uber have kind of hit the nail on the head with it. They've come along with this, and they've said that they're going to continue working on updates for it and improvements and things like that. So I'm... For paying a tenner for it, I'd say not a problem. £30 seems a lot for a game that doesn't really have a fully fledged single player in it. Again, the multiplayer is good, or you can just play AI skirmishes. And again, I've done both. As I said, other people tend to beat me into the ground because they're far better at me than I am. And I will admit there weren't a lot of games when I was looking the other day. In fact, the few times I've done online multiplayer, there's not been a massive amount of games, which does sort of give me cause for concern that a lot of people aren't picking this up because of what they've kind of just seen it as, oh, well, Planetary Annihilation was rubbish, and now they're trying to squeeze out a sequel. Which, yeah, I can understand that cynicism in today's industry, but I'd say it's possibly a false cynicism with this game, is that you have a right to be cynical. I don't blame you at all for that, because again, the current state of games is that they seem to be chucking them out half finished on Kickstarter or whatever, and just going, yeah, this is what you're getting, go with this. PA again, wasn't what I wanted it to be initially, and I hadn't played it much. And let's be honest, I probably wouldn't have even bothered looking back at it again. And then I just happened to get the email come through going, "Hey, this is PA Titans," and I think I got it on release day actually as well, because I was like, "I've never heard of this." And I did a bit of reading, thinking they're trying to pitch me another expansion. It's like, "Nope, you backed it on Kickstarter, you get it free." And I was like, "Okay, that's a good way to start winning back some sort of customer faith. Let's see what this is like." And I've spent a lot more time than I care to admit playing it. I don't know what my Steam clock. Actually, I know my Steam clock is wrong on it anyway, because I think I left it running all night. I kind of started a game off and then wandered off and forgot it was running because I was doing my dinner at the same time, and it just ended up running all night. I won. I had massive defences, but oh, under attack. Who's under attack? Ah, they're wiping out my old base. That's not a problem. You can have it, lads. It's not going to be there for much longer. So I've not had any reports of hostiles here yet. There's something orbital, but that's going to get caught by an umbrella, I would imagine. Yep, there it goes. Pop. This is my planet, GTFO. I must admit the Navy side of it could possibly do with a bit more work. There's not a lot of big maps with a lot of water. I would love to see. My favourite map in Total Annihilation was one called Coast to Coast, which just had a big ocean in between. I'd love to see a planet, either just a pure ocean-based planet or very heavily ocean. Because you can build, that's the cool thing, is the commander can build in water or on land. A lot of the structures have water-based equivalents, or they have giant floaties on them so that they can be built there. I've just realised that guy destroyed my unit cannon I was building for demonstration. I shall have to build another! So that's the Tech 2 bot factory. Let's build a proxy commander, another bot. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a hard one to recommend. I definitely wouldn't recommend the £30 for it. Now, I would say wait for a Steam sale and see if it drops in price, because if it does that, get in there. I would pick it up for sort of 10-15 quid. As I said, quite enjoyable. There are some kinks in the AI, and I've seen various posts saying that they're trying to address the pathfinding, and it's already been improved massively since PA. I can definitely vouch for that because I had so many. Again, being a big player of Supreme Commander and Total Annihilation, automation was my thing. I'd automate everything, and the amount of times I've come back to find a commander just stood there going, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing." It's like there are 15 waypoints laid out ahead of you. Why are you stuck? And then you've got to move in, which resets your whole plan, and it's just like, oh, I hate you, Commander. So yeah, I'm hoping they fix. If they can fix a lot of the pathfinding issues, I would be more than grateful for it. Again, I still wouldn't say worth the 30 quid, but we're getting there. We're improving everything here and there. And as I said, for a game that I can just hop on and blow stuff up, there aren't many real-time strategy games that are worth your time at the moment. Actually, thinking about it, I don't think there's hardly any. No, tell a lie, actually, that's not really fair on... what's the one with the goo? Grey Goo, that was quite a good one. That was by the same guys who did some of the Command & Conquer series, I believe. And there's another one coming out soon as well. I can't remember the name of it. I've only ever seen it mentioned briefly, but you've got various factions like the Chimera and something else. That looks quite good as well. That looks very Command & Conquer Generals-y. Again, a game that I absolutely adore. So that one is coming at some point. I don't know when that one's coming. I think that's an early access one actually. Well, that'll be early access sometime this year. So for £10, basically, if you ask me, would you buy this for £10, having played PA and played this myself now? So basically, my opinion on it is, yeah, I'd pay the £10 to pick up Titans because I quite enjoy PA. I was disappointed with it, and Titans has added in a lot of the things that are missing from it and made it a lot more fun and just a lot more streamlined and a lot smoother. The opposite of that is obviously I wouldn't pay. I couldn't warrant 30 quid for it. I honestly think that's a bit cheeky from Uber's side of things, but again, that seems to be the way where they're charging a lot of money for these things. Especially, I wouldn't class this as a AAA. It's got high production values for definite. I don't know whether I'd class it as a AAA or not, but yeah, 30 quid is a bit much. But again, make up your own mind. It's a stiff point for me because I don't. I was going to say I don't have a job. I do have a job. I don't earn a whole load of money, so I have to be careful what I spend it on. So I know. Ooh, first catalyst is done. Let's see if we can build the next one as well. So yeah, I guess it's one of those things where, as a game, as a game, is it fun? Would be the question I ask. Yes, I really enjoy this. Go on, go over there. See, there's a pathfinding bug. I just told him to go there twice, and he's still not going to do it. Do I enjoy it? Yes. Has it got some clever mechanics? Yes, very clever mechanics, and very well executed as well. There we go. Build. There you go. There's one of the catalysts. So we build a couple more of these, and this thing turns into a lethal platform. And the AI has gotten stuck again. Come on. See, this again, pathfinding. Pathfinding! Build it. So I was hoping to show off the laser. So I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll speed up the footage now. I've kind of done all my talking for this, so I'll speed up the footage and just show the Annihilator in action once it's operational. Okay, so here's the unit cannon I said I'd demonstrate as well. So basically you can stick any kind of unit, you build the units into the cannon directly. So I'm just going to build 12 of these in here. And then once it's finished building them, we can launch them. Basically, I'm going to launch them to this asteroid to help the other engineer out there with building stuff. So what I'm doing, I've got a bit of a backup plan as well, which is I'm going to use this asteroid. I'm either going to smash it into the planet they're on once I've fired the laser, or I'll just use it as a demonstration point, just because I can. So at the moment, there's one engineer out there, and he's just building some umbrellas on it to try and secure it from the other guy who's wandering around. And then once he's built those, he'll build an engine of destruction on it that we can use for ramming it into the surface. Because yay! Explosions. One thing I'm also going to do is upgrade all of my plants. So again, similar to the way I did it at first, I can directly upgrade all of my plants by just selecting a plant, I keep saying, mining node. I can basically upgrade it by clicking on one of them, shift dragging out to make the big sphere, and then letting go, and that commander is now going to wander around and upgrade all of those for us. So hopefully that should sort my current metal shortage out. And then we're just 2 catalysts away from finishing this off. Fantastic. So I'm just going to speed the footage up again while the cannon warms up. Okay, so the catalysts are nearly done anyway, so what I'm going to do is just demonstrate this. So the unit cannon is intergalactic, so it can hit anything in the solar system. So what I'm going to do is this asteroid, which is, if I show you in scale, is over here somewhere. I can fire from here to there.
Planetary Annihilation now
So I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to hit A, fire that, and as you can see, it's going to just aim itself and fire those little pods off. There was only 3 in there, because that's all I'd built so far. Those 3 will then touch down on that asteroid, and then blow up what they need to. Or build what they need to, I should say, since they're construction vehicles. But our giant laser is ready. As you can see, the banner at the top lets you know that it's operational. So I can click on that. It's going to ask me to pick a target. So let's pick the one asteroid we're not currently based on, which is this one over here. No, it is actually. Don't shoot that one. That'd be rather bad. So basically, it's going to turn the laser on, as you can see here, and fire it across the universe. And there goes the planet. To be fair, that wasn't really fair on the rest of you who wanted to watch that. So what I will do is I will set the camera. Should we just blow up that other asteroid for demonstration purposes? For science! Cool, so there's the other asteroid. Focus camera. And then if I click on Hades, I've got to wait for the catalyst to recharge. Come on. Faster. I'll probably find there's a patch note that just said, yes, we've tweaked this now, so it doesn't do this. You can't use it. Oh no, there we go. Fire weapon. It's hidden in the menu. Right, cool. Okay, so in that case, swap cameras.
energy storage full. Load your units.
Right, so there's our asteroid. So, fire weapon,
Celestial target.
fire it there.
Military target selected.
Round and round the planet goes. Boom!
Forces are taking fire.
Cool, so we just blew up our own planet, but never mind, it was demonstration purposes. So, last one on the map is where the enemy is, so I'm going to click there.
Choose celestial target.
I'll tell you, actually, before we fire it, let's line up the other camera correctly. Because everyone wants to see it go boom. I wonder if you could blow up the sun, actually. I'll have to try that in a minute. Capture main view.
Select planet to annihilate.
No, you can't. Rubbish.
Select
Never mind.
target.
Spin it round, fire it up. Now you see it. Now you don't. So, that's Planetary Annihilation, living up to its name. Granted, I could have smashed an asteroid into a planet as well, which also looks pretty cool, but I'm more partial to lasers, as people have probably noticed. Anyway, that concludes this review of Planetary Annihilation Titans. I hope you found it helpful, and check back either here or on the blog for more information on other games coming out soon.